whenever I do get a next interview call, I'm always thinking in the back of the mind, okay, what would the culture be like? How are people going to communicate with me? Okay, will it be a hybrid setup? Will it be a full-time job? Okay, do they understand flexibility?
Hi, welcome to another episode on the See Me podcast. See Me is an organization that is focused on helping people achieve their full potential with all the ambition that they possess. Effectively, we do this through lived experience mentoring and whole self coaching. And lived experience mentoring means our mentors have achieved great successes in their own personal and professional fields, and they use that to help our members to grow and to achieve their own ambition. And whole self coaching basically means we worry about everything, who you are mentally, physically, professionally, financially, and we truly want to help you become the best of who you can be and who you should be. So today's podcast, I've got here with me Shifa, who we met through very interesting channels. They really say that your friends effectively come from your children.
Yes. Yeah.
And in our
we
case, that's
formed
true.
a great friendship. Yeah.
We sure have over
Yeah.
the years. Our
Yeah.
kids were in the same class 2 years ago.
2 years ago,
But
yeah.
they remain in the same school.
Yes.
And admire each other so much that they still have play dates. So
Amazing.
that's
Yeah.
worked out well. So our podcast today is basically talking about how do you, as an experienced, very successful career professional, find your next job? And most importantly, how do you do it in Dubai?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Shifa, for coming here. So we're going to use your life story and your life experience to build on this topic because so much has changed with how people find jobs.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
All the tools that are out there. And we can come to all the fears I have about if I ever had to find a job, what that would look like. But before we dig into that, I love to get to know people, who they are, where they come from, how they were shaped and formed, and what drives them. So let's find out a little bit about who Shifa is.
Thank you. So I'm the firstborn daughter in my family, and I'm the only sister to 3 brothers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that has shaped me who I am today because I've got twin brothers who are only a year apart from me.
You were triplets then?
Yes, that's what our parents always called us.
Right.
Like, you guys are like triplets. But that was a great experience.
Okay.
I learned a lot through that experience. It made me fearless, brave, independent, always wanting to try new things, always trying to show that I'm braver than them. And there's something my dad always says: if the boys can do it, Shifa will do it.
Wow.
Will obviously do it. And that used to make me really happy. Yeah, I've got a 12-year younger brother as well, who's
12 years.
12 years apart.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you were a real big sister.
Yes. And he was someone who was very pampered by me.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I really saw him as a sibling.
Okay.
Saw him like, a little baby who I looked after.
Right.
But with the twins, siblings, absolute siblings.
Okay.
But yeah, great experience.
So where did you grow up? And I mean, where are you now with your personal life? Do you have a family?
I do. So I was originally born in Pakistan.
Okay.
I grew up in Saudi Arabia. I went to do my chartered accountancy in UK. I was there for almost 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, great experiences. Then I came here. That's where I met my husband.
Okay.
My husband now. I've been here for over 14 years. We've been married for the last 9.
Long time.
I'm
in
a
Dubai.
mother to 2 wonderful kids, a boy and a girl.
Bless
Yeah,
them.
6 and 2. So yeah, that's where I am.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing a bit about you, the person, because I have to say, I didn't know till we were talking a few days ago about, how we wanted the podcast to go, that you had 3 brothers. And that actually, you know what, when you said it, I was like, that explains a lot.
It does, yeah.
It's amazing how our background, our upbringing really shapes us. Because one of the reasons why I've loved our friendship over the last few years is because you're so bold, you're so open. But as you said, you've lived and studied in so many different countries.
And I've traveled a lot too.
And you have. And you're one of the few parents in the school who embraces everybody.
Everybody.
I have to say.
Yeah,
and it's very obvious.
And I love that. And I think living and just traveling around a lot, it makes you more open and accepting. You just start seeing humans for just humans.
Right.
You don't you don't limit yourself to cultures, religions, or your careers.
Yes.
No, people are people at the end of the day. Connect to them on a human level.
That's
I was
one thing
making a
I've
list
loved
for
about
my
you.
son because we put up a globe in his room. a world map. And he's like, Mama, can you tell me where have you been? So I pointed out, I've traveled and lived. So I've lived in over 4 countries,
Wow.
traveled to 22 countries,
Holy
and at
moly.
least 3 or 4 cities everywhere.
Wow, that's amazing.
And
That's
I,
amazing.
and I told him, look, just like, in a few years' time, and your sister's grown up a little bit more, we're going to continue that.
That's
I'm going to make
amazing.
that. For some reason, he loves the number 100. So he's like, Mama,
Yes.
let's target 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can almost really tell that a child is being raised by just wholesome parents, because your son is, again, very loved in class by almost every child.
Loved, yeah.
Is one of the, child who embraces and helps everybody else feel welcome.
He loves that. And
I mean,
think,
he's amazing.
He is. Just a few days ago, he was telling my mom that, so my brothers and my parents, they're in Australia.
Okay.
Mom's still with us, but she's traveling in a few weeks' time. And his dad's side of the family, when he grew up, some of them were here, and most of them are in Canada now. Wow. So he's like, I've got a plan. First, let's all go to Australia. We'll have our own jet, and then we will all take a holiday to Canada. And then we will go and see different countries. I'm like, okay, that's a great plan. But
That's
then that
great.
tells you, he's open to meeting
Yes,
everyone.
already at 5 going on 6.
And for me, that's a big success. That's something that makes me proud of him.
Yeah. I'm so happy to hear. I said all of this, not because we wanted to dive into family. We're here to talk about looking for jobs, but because we met as moms through our kids' school, we never exchanged details on what you do professionally. We were moms of our children in school.
Children, yes. And we were focused on the day-to-day activities or things that our children are facing.
Absolutely. Yeah. But once I found out that you actually have worked for 3 of the largest financial firms, consulting firms in the industry, and I'm talking globally, by the way, so we don't mention names, and you work on international portfolios, again, it clicked, right? I said, that now, who you are and your background and how your children are and how you are, that makes sense. And I'm sure that's fed into your career. So if you don't mind, let's move on to who is Shifa, the professional woman. Tell us a little bit about your career history, your career successes, and your industry. And then we'll get into this point of your career where you're now looking for that next big challenge.
Yeah, sure. So by profession, I'm a chartered accountant.
Okay.
So I did my ACA from England. Okay. So I'm a member of ICAEW. Okay. And after I did that, when I finished all my exams, it was the day I found out the financial crisis had started.
No, what year was this? This was
2008.
Oh, right,
July
in the thick
2008.
Of it. This is in the thick of it.
I came back home to tell my parents. They were visiting us from Saudi. I was like, yay, I got my result. And my dad's like, did you see the news? I'm like, no. What happened? Like, how bad could it be? Turned out very bad.
Yes.
But I think that's one of the reasons, having gone through that cycle at being newly graduate, where everyone's either losing jobs, businesses, banks closing down. It was a cyclical thing that was happening from one country to the other. But that, I think, in hindsight, prepared me of what's happening today, of where I am today.
Yes.
So, yes, it was a difficult time. And people are losing jobs. The new graduates are not getting any jobs. But if it wasn't England, Dubai was a great place. It helped me shape my career to where it is today.
Right. So what have you done professionally since graduating and obviously overcoming that first career challenge of graduating and facing the financial crisis?
So I was applying everywhere, including Saudi. Saudi at that time was different. Right. But Dubai, it was, again, a land of opportunities. I got an opportunity from one of the big firms here.
Okay.
And I started off with my career with audits, statutory audits.
Okay.
So I was in it for about 5 years. And I had always wanted to explore the advisory consulting side of things.
Okay.
While having, gained that experience, I wanted to come on the other side. And that's when, I moved on to my second firm, the second Big Four firm.
Okay.
And that brought me, it opened multiple doors for financial instruments, financial consultancy. And through that job, I was able to travel to so many countries in the region. Also went for secondments in UK.
Okay.
And that opened doors in the Oceania side for me. And I'm still in touch with those people.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So look, in the end, listening to you, because we're not obviously here to talk about the financial industry.
Of course, yeah.
Listening to you, you obviously have achieved great success in your career.
And I've worked on some of the biggest Fortune 500
very
clients.
experienced. You work for large companies.
Yeah.
So now here comes the question. How come you find yourself looking for a job? Because there are different reasons, right?
Yes,
it could be you chose to leave your company, you chose to make some life decisions, or the industry itself, as you said, changed because your very first example was the financial crisis. An external factor happened. Help us understand how you are, as a career professional, looking for your next opportunity. And we'll talk about what you've learned and your advice on how to navigate it. And so that people can understand their own backgrounds, how they found themselves in a position where they're looking for their next big challenge in their career.
No, thank you. It's interesting because a lot of people, when they find out that you're looking for a job, it won't be an issue. You've got so much experience. Turns out it is a bit difficult.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a personal choice
to
answer your question. Okay. I was being asked to relocate.
Okay.
Which having young kids, not something I wanted to explore. My husband had recently started his own business here. So there were a lot of personal factors I wanted to consider. And I know people in similar backgrounds or similar fields, they're either losing jobs or having to make similar decisions. But for myself, it was a personal choice.
Okay.
I chose to leave and take a little bit of break and then go back into the industry, find my next role.
Okay.
So that's
let's capture that, because I've also made some decisions because of my life stage. You said you were being asked to relocate, but you have a husband and 2 children. If you weren't married with 2 children, you would have taken that job?
I would have considered it, but not relocate.
Because
I'm very proud of the life I built here.
Okay.
So that's my honest answer.
Well, way to go, Dubai, then.
I love it here. I do.
Amazing.
I mean, after living and traveled to so many countries.
Yes.
I love it here.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I can see myself living here for the next 10 years.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. That really says a lot about why we're all in Dubai and why we love Dubai so much, and we're all willing to invest and grow here.
I have huge respect for the rulers here. I have huge respect for the systems in place, for the things that are continuously changing.
That's amazing.
There's inflation, cost of living crisis, which are real problems, but that's happening everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
But take COVID, for example. Given how well this country managed it and how businesses kept running, they dealt with the expo during that time.
Sure.
That gives you hope and encouragement.
But we're talking about job hunting, and you mentioned COVID. And COVID is another thing that caused people to lose jobs.
Yes.
Let's be honest, right?
It
and
did.
that's not
and
about
a lot of people here also lost their jobs.
Globally.
I know friends who were at the top of their careers.
Yes.
It goes, and they just within days, they were
absolutely
let go,
yeah,
and they didn't know what to do.
So you made a personal choice to change jobs, but you also mentioned that friends who are losing jobs either because companies are cutting costs.
Yes,
they are restructuring,
or those jobs
or an external
no longer
thing
exist.
Like COVID. You know what? Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
those jobs no longer exist because of changing trends, industry.
AI, or new softwares coming in.
Yes.
So people. Like data entry jobs or finance jobs or even any other jobs, they're taken over by AI.
Because there's a difference when you anticipate leaving your job. You save, you prepare mentally, you probably put out the fillers, call friends, mentors, you change your LinkedIn, prepare your resume. You prepare.
And you have the next 3 or 6 months planned in your mind.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay,
when
if
an
this doesn't happen, I can
happens, financial crisis, COVID, is probably sudden. Companies restructuring, they may give you 3 months notice, 6 months notice. These are all vastly 3 different examples that psychologically will have different impacts on you as a human being. Let's talk a little bit about what does one do when they find themselves either having made the decision like you to change jobs, or external factor with some buffer, company gave you some months notice. It's still a shock, very shocking.
Still
a bit of
shock,
a human rejection. Why are you letting me go?
I know people who had just bought new car because they were
Yes.
expecting a promotion, but they were actually
Right.
asked to leave. Some of them very close friends.
Wow.
They had moved into a bigger house.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you
Changed the
do?
kids' school.
What do you do? I mean, how do you cope with that? Because I mean, we want our members to prepare. Look, my father had a job for 42, 43 years
Same, yeah, but
with one
yes,
company in
with
the oil
one
and gas
company,
industry.
yes, yeah.
Is living on a nice pension, very
Yeah.
comfortable with medical benefits. And I tell him, I'm like, Dad,
that's no longer the case, and I don't really see that happening in the future.
It hasn't even happened in my career in 20-something years
and
so
do
far.
I see myself working for the same? I'm very grateful for all the experiences
Yes.
I've had in all the companies, small or big.
So that means all of us should expect at some point to transition,
some point,
to
yes,
find ourselves
because the world
looking
is
for
transitioning
jobs.
very quickly.
Yeah.
This was not the case before.
So how do we psychologically prepare then, Shifa?
That's quite interesting, Agosa. So I'll tell you a little bit about my experience.
Okay.
So I actually thought, okay, yeah, I'm leaving the job. Okay.
Yes.
I had 3 months to look for another job. Didn't find one during that time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right. Decided to take a few weeks off. Just relax myself, go back. I'd always wanted to do yoga, got into that, go have my little farm.
Yeah.
I got into that. Very therapeutical.
Okay.
I think we discount those things.
Yes.
You need to keep your mental health. You need to keep account of that.
Okay.
It makes you really happy. It makes you relaxed. Going into any form of nature. That's one of connecting yourself to any form of nature.
Okay.
It's one of my strongest advices. It makes you human.
Okay.
It helps you relax. But coming back to the corporate side or the professional side, how do you prepare yourself?
Yes.
Because there's one of the things I see online, like how we were discussing earlier in preparation.
Yeah.
Money's not everything, but everything needs money.
I loved it when you told me that. I actually wrote that down. Yeah. Money is not everything, but everything needs money.
Yeah. And especially as a young family, or even even if you
Especially
don't have kids, you've got bills to pay. Yeah.
Bills to pay, and then you have the kids.
Yeah, you have the kids, and their new demands and everything.
Yeah.
Their new wants. Okay, you don't want to put your kid in a position where you can't provide for them. So, and there's some people who need the next paycheck to come every month.
Yes, that's tough.
But while it's different for everyone, there's some things that are similar.
Okay.
And you can learn off each other's experiences.
Yeah.
So for myself, I had a vision board.
Okay.
And I didn't put down 6 months. 6 months seemed a long time for me.
Okay.
I thought, okay, in the next 3 months, I'll find something. Okay?
After all, you've worked for big companies, you have great degrees, and
there was a time,
great experience.
3 years before I left, 4 years before I left. And I was at maternity leave at my son's time. I had 3 job offers in my hand.
Wow.
From different parts of the world. I didn't even apply. But the world has changed since then.
Wow.
And now I was reaching out to people, and people no longer have those jobs, or they're trying to keep their own jobs intact.
Yes.
So one of the things I would say is don't take it personally.
Okay.
If people are not coming back to you, or if they're not able to help you as you had imagined, don't take it personally.
Yeah.
It's hard. Job hunting for anyone causes anxiety.
Yes.
We were discussing that
we
earlier.
We're talking about that. Yes,
okay. And it's a reality.
Yeah.
Just to say, oh, you'll find something. Great pep talk. But keeps you anxious.
Yes.
Sometimes you can have sleepless nights.
Yes.
But keep yourself motivated. Because just have a holistic view, okay? Is it only you in this situation? Or look at how many other people are losing jobs. How are they facing their recruiters?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to give you a few steps that I had taken down.
Okay, please do.
The first thing I did was I upgraded my profile.
Okay.
LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
Strong place to have your network to see jobs. Set your preferences. Keep looking at the tips. It coaches you really well on how to prepare for your interviews, because a lot of the interviews are now on AI.
Yes.
They look for keywords.
Yes.
You don't go past the next interview stage if you don't use those keywords.
And
while you may think that someone who's been in a job for 30 years or 20 odd years, oh, I know this. Yeah, you do know the work. But the thing is, you've got new softwares now. Even before that interview phase, the AI interview, companies are now using HR softwares.
To screen your resume?
Yes.
Wow.
They would ask for your passport or any form of ID, something, and see okay, is the background clear? Have you been decent on social media?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
companies are doing that
Amazing.
now. So be ready for that.
So let's talk about the systems and processes and the tools of looking for a job, okay? Because I think I remember telling you when we were sort of preparing for this, like when I graduated, we were still putting resumes
Our
in
resume
envelopes,
writing their
yeah,
addresses, or
writing,
going. I actually
writing the
went to
email. Sorry, not even the email. The postal address of the HR manager, because the company just published that, and then putting in the mail or walking to the office and dropping it off, because they'd have a drop-off center for resumes.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then it transitioned to emailing resumes, right? But then at one point, the internet wasn't so sophisticated. You wouldn't even know anyone received your resume, right? Yeah. And then now there's some sort of feedback loop. Look, just like you, 20-something odd years, I've always been poached into another job. I don't remember having to search for a job, because even my first job, my professor recommended me. The only time I found myself looking for a job was probably in 2021, when I decided, just like you, I was having my second child, to leave my current role. Yeah. But it wasn't, I don't want to be misleading. It wasn't that I just woke up and decided to leave. There was a restructuring. And in that restructuring, I thought, what is best for me? I thought, let me move on. Yeah. And it was the first time I found myself looking. And you're right, it causes, the uncertainty causes anxiety. Because as human beings, we want to know. Uncertainty in anything causes anxiety. I was like, when will I find the next job? What will it be? Who will the company be? How much will they pay me?
Who will be my manager?
Right,
how
what will
I
the culture
be?
Yes. So all that unknown is enough to make you...
Will they understand how a new mom's schedule is working?
It's enough to make you worry. But
and these are all genuine concerns.
They are very genuine. Yeah. But talking about systems and tools and processes. Okay, day one, I now need to find a new job. Right. What do I do? Do I call my old boss? Do I call friends? What should I do? What have you done?
So I've tried a combination of things.
Okay.
I've already mentioned updating my profile.
So
I reached out LinkedIn.
Okay. Did you go and learn about AI? Did you give yourself a little short course on AI, HR tools?
No, but through the process, I did find out, companies are using HR softwares.
Did you call any recruitment coaches to help you?
I did. So I did reach out to a few professional recruiters who helped me rewrite my CV, update my LinkedIn profile. Very professional people.
Did you do any of these new video resumes where people are actually literally recording video resumes of themselves?
They actually coached me on how to do video interviews, and even online, even as simple as YouTube, you'd find a lot of there are videos, there are coaches there who've published if you have an AI interview, how do you train yourself?
Gosh.
Okay. Yeah. What keywords to use, how to stay calm.
Yeah.
How before you're let's shake our bodies not to be nervous.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a very good trick. Otherwise, you feel tensed. Okay, I'm in front of the camera.
Yes, yeah.
We don't know. There's no human interaction. How will it be? How will it perceive us? The technology doesn't have feelings.
What about networking? What do you do on the human side?
Networking is very important.
But networking to where? Because what is networking really? I mean, who do I call?
Reach out to your friends, your clients, your old bosses.
Okay.
If your universities, your institutes. My institute was great in helping me reconnect to a lot of recruiters. Actually, one of those recruiters was very helpful, because it was the time when I was feeling a little down about myself. Tried everything, you go, sir.
Yes.
Why is no one reaching out to me?
Yes.
Or why am I not getting the response I wanted?
Yes.
But when I spoke to him and he heard everything, I had a very honest discussion with him. I was like, look, this is what I've tried so far. Why is nothing clicking? And he's like, Shifa, you're one of the lucky ones who's actually gotten so many interviews. Not just the first one, the second, the third one. Yeah, he's like, for every job, it has become so competitive now, because Dubai is a place which is continuously developing, evolving, and it has proven itself many times. A lot of the people from around the world want to come here.
I have to say, it's not just Dubai. I interviewed for a role that was going to be a very senior executive role. I had 17 interviews.
Wow, for one post?
17 interviews, got to the very end and didn't get the job. But actually, interesting enough, it wasn't that I didn't get the role that bothered me. It was the fact that the recruiter was on my case before each interview. So let me prep you. Let me tell you who you're about to go in front of. Today you're meeting the CEO. You're meeting the board member. They really like you. You're getting there. You're getting there. And then on the last interview, the board will decide by tomorrow and I will call you. And it's days later, no phone call. So I call back and say, I don't mind if I didn't get the role, but the fact that for the last 3 months you've been on my case,
and you told me, and
I prepared. I've read research documents. I've read financial statements going back so many years. Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm in a rush. You didn't really get the role. there was almost no real basis for why. And there's, we can give you feedback, but no one ever really gives you real feedback.
That's
and
something
we need
we
to talk
should
about,
talk about.
We should
Yeah,
talk about
yeah.
recruiters and recruiter behavior.
Absolutely,
okay?
yeah.
But let's go to the point you were trying to make about jobs are now very competitive.
They are, yeah.
Is it because there are more of us? Is it because technology is now creating a lot of, taking away admin tasks? And so now, jobs are really now just slimmer.
More,
and there's
yes,
so
slimmer
many of
and
us.
more on the analytical side, because
So
the groundwork is done.
It's already done. So we're all now competing. So I'm telling you, 17
yes,
interviews,
yeah.
you're saying 3, 4.
Yeah.
Actually, these days, because I still try to interview for board roles, not yet a core job. Who knows if that day will come again. I always ask, help me understand how many interviews before someone is selected. Or they'll say this is a 2-stage process. Great. So I only expect 2 stages. This is a 3-stage process. Because if I had asked the question, I would have probably known it was a 17-stage process. And I could have decided if I did or didn't want to be in that process.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we
That's
don't have to apply for every job opening that we see.
Don't.
I think we have to make an analysis of, do I think I'm the right fit? And do I think there's a likelihood I may even get this job? Because there's time and energy and emotion.
Emotion involved.
It is emotion,
and
right?
it can take a toll on your self-confidence. Yeah. So recruiters should also, they should have that integrity. And they should also think about what impact will our actions take on the person who's getting interviewed.
I don't think they think that. They just ghost you.
They don't.
There's no accountability.
I would actually like to take this opportunity. We should create a platform or a score system like you were suggesting earlier, because
blacklist some recruiters for behaving so badly. No, really.
Well,
even at the top level, I experience it.
Yes, no, absolutely. Even at, I used to think it was only at the bottom level. Yes. No, it's also at the top level.
Yeah.
Your interviews would go so well. You would be given the impression that, you can start from tomorrow. They would be discussing strategies, or we need a new young person like you with so much experience and with this background, diverse background.
Yes.
And just complete silence.
There's silence.
At least give the interviewee a
Everyone
reason.
I ask says the same thing.
So that's something the HR section or the recruiters need to work on.
Yeah, this industry needs to evolve.
Yes.
It needs to.
If everything is evolving, you're the human capital.
Yes.
You need to evolve.
They need to evolve.
You should be one of the first
there
ones to
should be
evolve.
some accountability.
Yes. Yeah.
There should be. I agree. Because as we said, it's such a time of uncertainty for any human being.
For any human, yeah.
Filled with some anxiety, probably some positive hope, because something new is coming, right? Yeah. Every new job brings something new, which is exciting.
It is exciting.
But as a human being, you have something in front of you that is a blank sheet. And so, there is worry, and you should be treated with some level of dignity.
With some respect and dignity.
Respect.
Yes,
yeah.
It's okay if you didn't get the job. But if you give them a decent reason, okay, this was one of the reasons.
Or don't mislead people and put people into processes just to have a diverse slate of candidates, for example. Because no offense, as women, we know sometimes we're put into candidacies because they want to show that they're also women on the table. And the question is, did they even intend to hire a woman to begin with?
A lot of the times what I've seen is you send in a resume, whether it's through LinkedIn or any, or even on their careers webpage, you would get a standard response saying we've received, thank you for your email, we've received your application. If you don't hear back from us, you would not have been selected. But the thing is, we've read the job descriptions, and my CV, or this anyone else who's putting in the CV, they would have read the description too. No one is just now especially qualified people, experienced people.
Yes.
Okay, they have an outlook, a different outlook to research or to applying for jobs. They would only be applying if they're relevant.
Yeah.
So just to get standard automated response and never hear back from anyone, that's something that needs to change. Yeah, at least tell us, or why, why do you think I'm not suitable for this? I'm an experienced person. I think I can do this. Why did you not come back to me?
I was reading on Business Week about some tools that you can put your resume into, and they actually, the bot, it's effectively a bot. The bot will apply for jobs for you to take away this waste of human emotion. Because you're right, every time you sit down and take your time to restructure your profile or your biography and your resume to submit it to a specific company and all you get is the bog standard answer, it's a bit of a blow, right?
It is.
And so you can start to understand why people are using bots. But we're all using bots because people now say it takes 100, 200 applications to find the one job, right?
And in some cases, thousands. Yeah.
I mean, this is very worrying. I mean,
It
clearly,
is.
if you use introductions like your previous boss holds your hand, walks you into a company and says, I recommend Shifa,
But that's not going to happen to everyone.
it's
And
not
it
happening
never
to
happens.
everybody.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it happens.
Yeah,
Happened
and
to me a couple times, but
that's
it doesn't happen
wonderful. Yeah.
all the
No, it
time,
doesn't.
especially if
Yeah.
that specific role that needs you is not open at that given time.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the other thing that also we need to hold recruiters accountable to is companies will post job openings knowing they already have an internal
Someone internally, yes.
and they're doing it because
Why put
of
that job? Because we need to complete the process.
exactly
What
process. Yeah,
If you already have a skill set internally, that's great.
playing with people.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Why go through that process?
Yeah, to show that there was a rigorous search, and in the end, this was still the best candidate. I mean, where's humanity, right? In the job hunting process. So effectively, this discussion is needed because it is not
needed,
easy.
yes. Because what I've noticed after, getting connected to different networks, different sources of networks, whether it's through the institute, old clients, old bosses, friends, going back to uni, or to even professors. Professors you should go back to them, once in a while. It's a huge confidence boost. They they remind you of do you remember how well you did that? Oh, I remember you can do this, Shifa, it's all right. But a lot of people are going through that. It's not just you. So don't let this time define you.
Right.
Use it to redefine yourself, which is
Right.
what I'm doing. Yes, it has taken a bit longer than I had thought, but I'm using all of that time to spend with my kids. Okay, I'm happy with that. Yeah, I do miss the paycheck. Who doesn't? Yeah. But it's like you said earlier. Whenever I do get a next interview call, I'm always thinking in the back of the mind, okay, what would the culture be like? How are people going to communicate with me? Okay, will it be a hybrid setup? Will it be a full-time job? Okay, do they understand flexibility?
Trends have changed.
Yeah, trends have
People
changed.
want to work from home.
Yeah. Another thing that I'm doing, and I know we discussed about it in our preparation sessions too, you don't need to go back for another degree or something, but do find time to upgrade your skills.
Okay.
Because times are changing.
Okay.
New skills are needed, whether it's in finance, AI. There are lots of free courses as well. Everyone has a phone. Everyone has an app. You have access to apps, internet. There are a lot of free courses, whether it's on investments, learning new softwares, learning new presentations, even speaking or coaching.
Yes.
This is effectively this can prove to be a coaching session for someone.
I told you I had a generational gap. It's a joke.
Yeah.
Where we're doing a project and the guy said, you can send me your feedback. And I sat up all night typing in bullet points. I typed all these answers. And this guy, I don't want to call him kid, but this guy sends me this video of the presentation, effectively sliding through this video, him talking, him in camera. And I thought, oh, wow. Okay. It's very obvious that my feedback skill is outdated.
Yeah.
And so I went and sat down one day on YouTube and I sat online and I researched all the different sort of new softwares around presentation, AI scripts, AI meeting notes-taking tools. Right. And there's a whole world out there of how to manage projects.
For you within 5 minutes. You just tell them, okay,
I feel so proud of myself the other day when we collaborated with someone who is also quite a senior exec as me. And I sent a deck with Canva that had all these fancy AI and automation. And I get a PowerPoint presentation back. I thought, you need to upgrade your skills.
So, see, that's one of the things I learned along the way.
Right.
Okay. That just because you've got so much experience doesn't mean that you don't need to learn any new skills.
Right. Yeah.
Don't put an unnecessary blockade for yourself.
Sure.
Be open. We already know that times are changing. Companies are changing. The way countries are working is changing.
Yes.
This is the reality. It means we need to change as well. Yeah. We need to evolve.
But let's take a less privileged position in this conversation, okay? And I know we didn't talk about this before, but to sit here and say I'm still looking for a job, people will say, well, that sounds privileged. It obviously means you prepared for this somehow financially. There are people
didn't prepare for this long, I'll be honest.
You're right.
Yeah.
There is an impact. Yeah. But through God's will and whatever, you have a support system around you.
Yeah.
There are some people who, for them, this means a loss of a home going into
Yes.
foreclosure,
Yeah,
removing
absolutely.
kids from school, moving into their
Yes.
parents' houses.
Absolutely.
I
Or just
mean,
leaving the country
or
altogether.
leaving the country, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are real serious issues.
Yeah.
But if we're saying that structurally, with where we are as a global economy and the world trends, this is likely to happen to all of us at some point in
At
our
some
career,
point, yeah.
then let's maybe talk a little bit about some of the financial tools, whether it's savings and investments and just preparing for that rainy day, if at all you're privileged enough to prepare for that rainy day.
That's true. And before I get into that, Igos, I would say, like, people, there are a lot of people here who are on work visas. Okay.
Yes.
If you are asked to leave, or if you're not given enough time to leave or to find something else, or if even after given enough time, you are not able to find something.
Yeah.
Okay. The first thing you need to do here is get your visa sorted.
Okay.
There are a lot of options out here. Okay, UAE has been great, and they're continuously, like, coming up with new options.
Okay.
They don't necessarily have to be very expensive. Get yourself an e-commerce license or e-trader's license. Some of them come with visa, some of them don't. Get that worry out of the way, because that can become a really big worry for you.
Okay.
Okay, if you've developed a life here, people like us, if we've invested our lives here, we don't always want to leave. Okay,
Yes.
we don't always want to go back to our countries or even to any other country. One
Yeah.
of the reasons for me not leaving was I didn't want to relocate.
Okay.
Okay, get that sorted. That will be one worry out of the way. When we come to financial topics, like, financial courses, do the free ones or do the short ones. Okay, that are popular right now. There are a lot of data analytics, broad ones, quick MBAs. Okay, get yourself updated with that. Get your presentation skills updated, communication skills updated. And while, like, let's discuss that a bit more. When I mention those things, what I'm trying to say is it doesn't need to be like an 8 weeks long course or something. It can be a few days short course.
Sure.
Okay, and give yourself time, practice that. You've got all tools, knowledge is out there now. There are a lot of things online now. Practice yourself. Show it to your network. Okay, this is where I'm going. Like, I can come up to you and say, Gosa, this is what I've done. And knowing, like, having talked to you, I know you've already gone through that process.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you think this presentation looks well? What else can I do? What else can I look into?
But that's coming from, look, there's a podcast which I follow, and I was a guest recently, Let's Talk Dubai, and one of the guests did a podcast on homeless in Dubai.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's great to say, get your visa updated.
Yes.
But now you're assuming the person can pay their rent and cover their expenses. I mean, there is a point at which you may be forced to make that decision to leave.
You'll be asked to either vacate
or
your
you
house.
can't, or you can't afford to pay your rent or keep your car payments going or whatever there is. So this is a very serious topic, because there's a spectrum of how bad it can be, and there's a spectrum of I'm worried and I'm anxious, but eventually I am going to find something.
Yeah, because
our listeners can be anywhere in between.
Anywhere in between, because even the people who are prepared, they're using their savings at some point in their lives.
And it may run out before they find something, right? And life is tough. Look at the interest rates this year. Look at inflation, cost of living crisis.
Yes.
I mean, I was reading something a few months ago that, anxiety and depression is on the increase globally because people just worry. There's so much to worry about.
Marriages are breaking up.
Absolutely. There's a lot to worry about.
Yeah,
there's a lot to worry about.
Everyone's perceiving it differently. Everyone's reacting to it differently. And even, like, just between you and your spouse, you might find, like, yourself or him or her disappointing you.
Yes.
I didn't think you would be this way, but it's because these are real problems that people are going through, and everyone's taking it differently.
Everyone's navigating life.
In your good days, people who are still having good days, always save at least 1/3. Try to save. I know Dubai is an expensive place, but then there's, like you said, inflation, cost of living crisis everywhere.
Yeah.
If you can cut down on a few things, save it, because this time people are going to face this one day or the other.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, what we're saying with trends, it looks like everybody at some point in their career may find themselves looking for a job. Yeah.
Savings help you. Be ready for the worst. I'm not saying be depressed, just think about the worst. No, keep yourself motivated.
So what
That's
if it's
why
not 3 months, it's 9 months?
It's 9 months.
What do I do?
A year.
Yeah.
If you find yourself that you've lost your job and haven't found anything, inform the banks, please.
Okay.
Okay. People do have some sort of lending in place.
Okay.
what I found through my experience and my friends' experiences, if you're honest with the banks, if you inform them timely, you do get some help. They do
Really?
come up with options. Have an honest conversation
Okay.
with them.
Okay. Okay.
And this is something I've seen here, coming from financial background
Okay.
and someone who's dealt with banks a lot.
Mm.
Have an honest conversation with them.
Mm.
They'll surprise you, and you'll
Yeah.
be grateful to them. Trust me.
For the support
Yeah,
and the
for the
help.
support. Yeah.
So let's talk about that support systems, and let's talk about the happy side, because
Happy side,
a
yeah.
new job brings new prospects. Most likely,
Yeah.
you may get an increase, you land a new challenge, you start working with new people. There's some good things that come out of
True.
a
Yeah.
new
Of the new
opportunity, right? A new
opportunities.
season in life always brings
Yeah.
something fun. Let's talk about support systems, friends, family. What have you leaned on in that time?
My friends. I've got great friends in different parts of the world.
Okay.
And they keep me motivated. They're the friends I don't need to tell them what's happening day to day. I can just pick up the phone anytime. I could tell them, okay, yeah, I just want to talk about, I'm so upset about this. Or, I found this so funny. I saw this meme. And they would just have a laugh. It would be like, I'm sitting with them in the car.
Yeah.
With one of my friends, I call it my Yaris sessions, because that's the only thing we could afford at that time. And those were one of our best times.
That's good. Yeah.
She would pick me up and be like, let's just go for a drive. And we would went, or we would have a good laugh, just grab a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
My friends have always been my great support system.
That's good.
Family, understanding spouse, even if, let's say, because you're depending a lot on your spouse during this phase, okay? It's okay to vent to them.
Okay.
It's okay. Don't feel like, because you've been in this role of providing together, or them seeing you so strong, and all of a sudden you're in a different role. So sometimes, internally, I found myself embarrassed.
Right.
There are some dark
Yes.
days. I'm like, okay, yeah, you know what? Did I do the right thing? But then he helped me out. He was like, yeah, so just one job is going to define our relationship? No.
Isn't that interesting? Because when we're in these big companies,
Yeah.
we're defined by, I work for that company.
Yes.
My job title is
And
X.
you're so proud
and
of
my
that,
phone
yeah.
is buzzing all the time.
All the time.
And every
don't
time
have
I look,
time for
there's like
anything else.
30,
My
40,
calendar
100
is
emails.
booked,
My calendar's
yes.
booked.
Booked,
Yeah,
yes. No,
exactly.
just check on my
and
calendar.
then suddenly, the day you leave, dead silence.
Everything is done.
And
Yeah.
you realize how much, if you're not careful,
Yeah.
you make your identity
Yeah.
dependent on
that.
on
So
this,
I'm
all these
really
factors.
glad you brought that up, because I started feeling those things, realizing that during COVID time.
Okay.
I saw some senior people go through very dark phases. Some of them got really ill and who were in ICU for a very long period. This was again during COVID time.
Wow.
They lost, I think almost everyone lost a dear one during that time. Not you're one of the very lucky ones.
Sure.
But I saw, and it made me realize that, okay, that person is in ICU. No one can go and see him.
Yes.
Okay. His family is just just praying and just hoping that he would come back alive.
Sure.
The work didn't matter at that
Work
time. I'm not saying
continued.
work is not important.
Of
No,
course,
work is important.
Yeah.
Your clients, your delivery is important. I'm not saying you slack off on that. No, that will never be my message. I'm one of those people who appreciates flexibility and gives her team flexibility. But when it comes to client timings, delivery has to be the best.
So maybe this brings us to the point that you were talking about, that in this next phase of your life, you're focused on purpose and passion.
Yes.
And while technically and professionally you want to keep achieving,
but I want to have a different purpose now. If you ask me, Shifa, where do you see yourself? If we gave you a choice to go into any company, where would you go?
Yes.
I don't think today I can just pin down one company.
Okay.
And there are multiple reasons for that. It's my life experiences, personal and professional.
Sure.
I would want to be attached to new purposeful initiatives.
Wow.
I mentioned nature before.
Yeah.
Okay. At any aspect of my life, okay, I do want to be part of nature. Whether it's simple as growing your own food, or having your own small farm. Okay. I'm very particular about what food we give to our kids. Okay. I want to have flexibility. Another thing that I've found, there's room for it over here, because UAE and Dubai especially, it's a service country.
Okay.
In the past 2-3 years, they've developed and given a lot of new options for young entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Come up, set up your company, open your company,
sure.
you have 100% ownership.
You want to help out with that?
I want to help out. My experience can help you. But what I've seen is, including my husband is also a self-starter, okay?
Okay.
in second, third year of businesses, a lot of the companies are struggling.
Right.
People like us can help them.
You could help. Yeah.
Management, finding other cash alternatives. Businesses don't necessarily fail because of other things. They fail because of lack of cash.
So isn't it interesting that you say this? Because when you find this next big job, what you're saying is you like to do other things.
Other things as well on the side. I no longer want to be
just defined by this big company and the big title.
No.
Yeah.
Because what I saw is the minute you leave, you're easily replaceable.
Absolutely.
Just like, how you're applying for that role. If there are thousands of candidates applying for it, then there are thousands of candidates who can do it when you're gone.
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean that job is not important.
Sure.
No.
But the passion
I'm
projects
grateful for
keep you
every
going.
experience
Yeah.
that has shaped me, whether it was a small company that I joined initially or for the largest companies.
Somebody once told me that what you're saying comes with phase of life.
Yes.
So for example, when you're studying, your entire focus is graduate with the best results.
Yeah.
Then you're looking for your first job.
Then
you land the job,
really
you're trying to prove yourself to get all the necessary promotions, to get all the necessary pay raises. You're probably thinking marry, get a house, have kids. And then you're now supposedly in mid-level or senior level management or maybe higher. And suddenly you start asking yourself questions about purpose. So it's very likely that this question around purpose and passion is linked to a phase in your life.
A phase.
You've achieved a lot, so therefore you have the luxury to ask yourself these questions.
Do I feel happy about it? Yes. Do I want to continue it? In a different way.
Interesting. Okay.
We were discussing that before our recording, that I read somewhere. It was actually, I think, on Instagram. I was that woman, Agosa, who were like, I thought success was wearing the most expensive suit, driving my own car, like, going to the top company in the world, having a Chanel bag. I've been that woman, and I'm very grateful for that.
Sure.
Okay? But now I want to be the person who just picks up a backpack and goes on a hike.
Interesting. Phase of life. Wow.
It's a phase of life. And I think a
bless
big
you.
part of this phase is motherhood.
Yeah.
It made me, especially my second pregnancy, it helped me rethink about a lot of things.
Right. Yeah.
And when my second one was born, her birth, this is what I like, tell others and my mom too. She taught me so much.
Okay.
Without saying a word.
Okay.
The way she looks at people, the way she trusts people. Kids are a great judge of character. Believe in them. Yeah. I am using all of my experience, personal and professional, to be a great mother. But also, I've worked really hard for my career. And I'm proud of that career.
Right.
I want to give it back to society now.
That's great.
I want
really
to be
great.
connected to different initiatives.
That's great.
That's a giving thing, okay? Whether it's in terms of finance, in terms of healthcare, in terms of, I'm happy to learn new skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got no background in healthcare, but if anyone gets sick or something, if there are courses available, which I know there are now, I'm happy to learn those.
That's amazing. And look, you started by giving by doing this podcast on CME, where our members and our audience can, through your experience, think about practical
other things,
steps of what to do when they're looking for a job.
And they can always reach out to us.
Yes.
Look, we're open to them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the whole point, that by being on this podcast, our listeners can reach out to you for support, for advice, for looking for a job in Dubai. And I really want to thank you for your time. I'd like to start to wrap up slowly by asking you, look, we've touched on a lot today, and I'm really hoping that it's valuable for anyone who finds themselves looking for a job or asking themselves, stuck in the process, how to make the best of the process. What advice would you give for how to best navigate the job hunting process? I mean, we've said it's difficult. We've also said it's fun, it's exciting, there are new tools. From your perspective, what would sort of be the top key takeaways?
Key takeaways. So we've talked about being prepared.
Yeah.
Okay. Revisit. I talked about having a vision board.
Sure.
Okay. If you need to revisit it, go back and do it.
Okay.
If one strategy is not working, go back.
I struggle with vision boards for one reason. If you don't mind, let me tell you this. I always try and tell people, but it should be reasonable.
It should
you
be.
can't say, I want to be the next chairman of this
such a company
group,
or
when you don't have
the
experience
or because I
or the
was
expertise.
a director,
I mean, this is delusional, right? So I think some of the advice I always tell people when they're looking is be practical about what it is you really qualify for.
True. Yes.
And if you have a grandiose sense of yourself, then get some mentors to help you really see truly where you should you should place yourself, right?
Absolutely. And just to add on to that, another, we've talked about bad experiences with recruiters, but the good ones and the good HR ones, what they've thanked me for is they would ask you about, what are your expectations apart from the culture and everything and the job description. Be flexible in your package. No two companies pay you the same way.
Okay, so that's a good one.
Yeah, because I have, in the previous roles, I've been part of recruitment too. So if you're stuck down to, no, I want this title, I want this pay, that's not going to happen. I'm sorry. It's just not a realistic ask.
Yes.
So as long as you're getting compensated in a wholesome way,
yes,
take it.
Okay.
It can open multiple doors for you.
That's a good one. I really love how you said that. Thank you very much, Shifa.
You,
we didn't talk enough about compensation, but I love how you brought that point in there because no two companies pay the same. But in fact, actually, in some cases when companies have gone through cost cutting, on the next cycle they may pay differently. Even that same company that paid in one way may decide we're taking away car allowances, we're taking away travel allowances. Or everybody flew business class, now they fly economy, or our pay packages were this big and now they're this small.
They're this small.
And
your bonus structures have changed.
Right, we've come from buoyant times to maybe not so buoyant times. And you may say, look, well, my salary was X. I appreciate that that was in a different time of the industry. I'm also now open to this range, or you tell me what you're willing to offer and be reasonable in what you're willing to accept, right? I think this is some of the more practical points that, we need to talk about. But there was something you said which I liked. You were like, look, while waiting, I'm also willing to do small consulting projects to get paid.
Why not?
I'm a finance professional. If someone calls and says, do my books for me. They can pay me.
You've dealt with, let's say, I've dealt with a lot of banks, okay? So if you've dealt with a lot of banks, you've dealt with central banks as well. Shifa, do you know, we're setting up a new setup here, okay?
Take a small project, I'll pay you for it. Make money on the side. Don't just wait for the one job.
No.
See
I was
something
a director
can pay
then.
you.
No, I cannot work.
I cannot do that.
Please don't hold yourself back. You're making it difficult for yourself. You don't know what that small project can open doors for you.
That's a good point.
You're building, by doing small jobs, you're effectively building trust.
But you're also getting out the house.
Yes. Yeah.
You're meeting people, you're challenging your mind.
Yes. Yeah, you're challenging your mind. And do you remember I said that, at the beginning while our preparation session, that it was a much needed talk.
Yeah.
I felt like, there was no recording.
Yeah.
We were just having a cup of coffee and discussing.
Yes.
Okay, so, but when I went back home, I felt so great.
Amazing.
Yeah, so great about it. This is something we should do more often.
Because sometimes we get in our heads when we're trying to solve the problem alone.
Exactly, yeah. So have a chat with someone.
And I think that's where some of the groups in Dubai are helpful. Join as many as you can. I was telling you about the Dubai Women Business Council, which I joined, which other people have reached out to me through. And, again, as a foreigner who came into the country 2.5 years ago, networking has also been very important for me to find my feet as well.
And that's one of the great things Dubai offers you. People from around the world are here.
Right. Yeah.
So you don't know, it may seem like a small task to you, but that person's going to remember you.
That's true.
Just do it well.
That's true.
Do it with integrity.
Wow, so many things we've talked about here. I'm now going to go and try and figure out how to do video interviews and all these new AI tools and all the systems and processes. Look, I wish you the very best, and I know you're going to come out and share with us your next big role and who you're working with and
once I do, I would love to come back and share, how am I feeling now?
Yes.
Before and after.
Yes, absolutely. That would
be a great way to reconnect.
And probably just wrap up with the other lessons learned that have occurred to you along the way.
Of course.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Shifa.
Thank
that
you
was
for
amazing.
Having me,
yes, it's fantastic. Thank you. I've learned a lot myself, certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you.